something gradually changes. Our mistakes are no longer celebrated and rarely tolerated, even when they are rare and we can overcome them quickly. Criticism of age-appropriate behaviors and for not knowing what life could not have yet taught us. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talks with Dr. Shafer. I'm your host, Dr. Shafer. I'm a physician, mom, life coach, musician, author, publisher, and I am passionate about storytelling as a tool to help you reclaim your story and build your most beautiful future. Today, on this short talk on Talks with Dr. Shafer, I want to discuss our attitudes on growth and tolerance for making mistakes after growing up with intolerant or unpredictable caregivers. When you're trained to believe that criticism is love, being treated in a tolerant, loving way can provoke the sensation of being tricked. For many of us, the time in our lives where we were learning important life skills, from walking and talking to interpersonal skills and what relationships should look like, we were not learning how to grow up in a stable, healthy caregiver relationship. We instead were learning how to navigate an unpredictable landscape where mistakes could be met with shame and abandonment, leading us to be anxious and avoidant of making mistakes. When a child in such a relationship received kindness and praise from their unpredictable caregiver, it could be a prelude to something darker, something that cut both ways and left the child ashamed for failing once again, and ashamed for believing that maybe the caregiver could be the supportive person that they needed this time. Because so many times before, we believed that we could trust them, that we could share our vulnerability, that we could try something new and lean on them to support us and be understanding when we inevitably fail or meet challenging difficulties. When we are learning from our caregivers about what we are permitted to achieve and how to respond to failure as we try new things, we are vulnerable to the patterns they teach us. And so are our brains. We spend our early lives learning at an incredible rate, forming new neuronal connections and pruning away many more to form the nervous system connections that are physical manifestations of behaviors, thought patterns, and habits. We spend much of our time as young people making mistakes. At first, our biggest mistakes are falling down, dropping things, or mispronouncing words, at times to the delight of the more experienced adults in our lives. These early failures are often tolerated, if not celebrated, for their quaint and adorable nature. We're celebrated for trying, and when we finally walk, we are celebrated for succeeding. When we finally stop calling the room the living room, as my son did, our caregivers may even shed a tear for the bygone era of such sweet innocence. For many of us, something gradually changes. Our mistakes are no longer celebrated and rarely tolerated, even when they are rare and we can overcome them quickly. Criticism of age-appropriate behaviors and for not knowing what life could not have yet taught us, leading not only to mistakes from which we need to learn, but potentially can prompt psychological abuse from those tasked with providing us a safe harbor to learn and to grow. We begin to fear making mistakes. We no longer bravely take steps knowing that we can fall, but believing that we will eventually walk proudly into our caregiver's arms. Instead, we may choose to stay crawling and avoid the confusing and heartbreaking ire of the ones we should feel free to fall in front of. Some mistakes we make simply because we are young and must make mistakes. We don't need to be shamed for them or blamed for them. They simply are. They happened, and we need support to help us stand up and try again after we fall. We don't need someone to tell us what happened, that it was or wasn't okay. We don't need them to tell us that everything will be okay. We need to be seen and to feel that we are okay. That even with our flaws and mistakes, we have purpose here. And that it is okay to focus our energy not on shaming ourselves for past decisions, but on deciding how we want to go on from here and live the best we can with the knowledge and experiences we have now. If someone used their position of having a greater deal of life experience to make you feel shame for decisions that you made with the best of intentions when you did not know better, I ask you to consider that their position, their reaction to your perceived failing, is not about you. I want to say that again. Their response or reaction to your perceived failing is not about you. It is likely about their own relationship to failure and to themselves, to how courageous they allow themselves to be. Because if they were courageous and allowed themselves to fail, they would likely congratulate you for trying when you fail and ask how you want to proceed from here. If they proverbially rub your nose in the mistakes of yesterday, they are not invested in helping you build your beautiful tomorrow. And the relationship as it stands may best serve you as a chapter in your past rather than a page from your future. Just as our nervous system grows and develops by not only forming new connections, but by pruning many more, we must learn how to prune relationships, habits, and ways of thinking out of our lives as we grow to continue to grow and develop. We were not meant on a biological level to stay the same. Neuroplasticity and learning demands that we sacrifice the old for the new when it comes to our survival and our development. Your brain and your body want you to survive, to develop, and to thrive above all. There may be voices in your life or in society that make you feel that your job is to stay small, to stay quiet, and to stay the same, to not risk making mistakes, and not to take up too much space. But you are meant to grow. And if you can't grow where you are, you need to go where you can grow. Getting there may require some growing pains, some pruning, even of branches you once thought were all that were holding you up, but have really been holding you down. You've been tethered by old connections that were not allowing you to grow further. You may need to do some significant reworking of your thoughts, habits, and relationships in order to achieve what really matters, rewiring of your brain to live a happier, healthier, more fulfilling, and future-focused life. And if you ever believe that the story you were told that made you feel like you couldn't grow is true, just remember the beautiful gift that is your brain. Remember all of your falls, scrapes, mistakes, and stories that made you who you are today. And imagine a future that didn't have any new stories of mistakes, no new adventures, no twists or turns in your journey from here on out. How does the thought of that future make you feel? So, what are you willing to risk today to ensure that you continue to grow into the amazing person that you are meant to be? The principle of physics stating that the body in motion stays in motion applies to your growth, your thought patterns, your habits, and your path forward. What will you set in motion today to change your momentum away from the past and towards your beautiful future? Thank you so much for being here today on this short talk on Talks with Dr. Shafer. I hope that it was helpful for you. Please share comments and contact me if there's anything that I can do to help you on your journey. Stay safe and take care. I'll talk to you soon.